Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar Wildlife SOS in Ramdurga Valley, a conservation and research initiative. I'm Natasha Ashok, and I'll be your moderator today. Before we begin, let me introduce you to the Ramdurga project. This Wildlife SOS initiative is focused on restoring ecological balance to a once degraded landscape in Karnataka. Back in 2006, our team had visited an area near Ramdurga village in Koppal district of Karnataka, where barren land stretched on both sides. However, they discovered traces of sloth bear and leopards in the form of these cats, hinting at the land's rich biodiversity. Historically, it was found out that this land was home to sloth bears, star tortoises, leopards, wolves, yellow-throated bulls, and the Indian pangolin. Despite being categorized as agricultural land, numerous illegal activities were threatening the area. Thus, Wildlife SOS took on the mission to restore and rewild this crucial habitat. To share more about this ambitious project, we are joined by Samad Kutur and Wasim Akram.
Hello.
Dr. Samad Kutur.
Hello.
Dr. Samad Kutur is the biodiversity expert at Wildlife SOS and is a specialist in sloth bear ecology and is deeply committed to wildlife conservation. His work in habitat restoration and conservation strategies has been pivotal to our efforts in safeguarding vulnerable wildlife. Wasim Akram is the Director of Sustainability and Special Projects at Wildlife SOS and is a conservation biologist focusing on human-wildlife coexistence and wildlife crime control. He leads critical projects, including India's first mobile laparoscopic surgical unit for rhesus macaques and the country's first elephant ambulance. He also heads our Delhi's Rapid Response Unit and brings over 11 years of experience in advocacy, policy formulation, and combating wildlife trafficking. I welcome you both, sir. And with that, I hand over the session to Samad, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to introduce you to a rare habitat of sloth bears, leopards, and various rare, endangered, and threatened species in southern part of India. And this area is called as Ramdurga Habitat Center. This Ramdurga is a village located in Kanakagiri Taluk of Koppal district in North Karnataka in South India. This entire area is inhabited with various species of flora and fauna. But it was over the period of time, the entire ecosystem was degraded because of excessive human activities in this part. Excessive stone quarrying, excessive wood cutting, grazing, forest fire, all these threats degraded the forest and the wildlife living in a critical condition. In 2004, myself and Mr. Karthik Satyanarayana, co-founder of Wildlife SOS, visited this habitat. This habitat is surrounded with rocky boulders, rocky hills, and in the middle there are plain land and scrub jungle. And this land is inhabited by our Stone Age civilization. Ancient civilization more than 10,000 years ago, they were living here, and by the side of our habitat, about within 10 kilometer, we can see one area called Hire Benakal. This is an important archaeological site where we can see hundreds of dolmens like this dated more than 3,000 years ago. And also we can see cave paintings like this in different parts of the caves in the entire region. This area is also proposed for World Heritage Site for conservation of this archaeological area. This very area is located in the middle of the bear and leopard habitat. Next slide, please. And also, one of the important World Heritage Sites located within 60 kilometers of habitat, that is Hampi. Hampi is a world famous um, area where more than Vijayanagara Empire ruled in this area more than 250 years. And you can see amazing carvings, amazing monuments in this area. The 60 square kilometer of this area is notified as World Heritage Site in 1986. And this area also has amazing habitat of sloth bears, leopards, and various species of flora and fauna. Next slide. Next, please. And hunting was integral part of human evolution. We can see all the carvings of hunting in this area, in this Hampi monuments. And also the rocky caves like this, rocks and hills like this are most common and striking feature of this area. Hunting was there for ages. And here in one of the monuments, it is depicted that a woman hunter is hunting a wild boar and chinkara and all other herbivorous species. And they were selling the wild meat in the market in those days around about 600 years ago. So people still continue the habit of hunting the wild animals, and for which we have entered into this habitat. In the beginning, when we see, next slide, please. When we visited this location, we could see only bald hills, only rocky hills, nothing else, and scrub jungle, which was degraded due to the excessive human activity. And we also identified indirect evidences of sloth bears, leopards, hyenas, wolves, civets, pangolins, porcupines, and so many number of endangered mammals, along with reptiles and various species of amphibians in this area. So to protect this area is spread in about 20,000 acres of land. And in the beginning, we wanted to do something to protect this area. As in India, the habitat, the entire land is divided into three categories. One is forest land, which is under the forest department, and another land type is revenue land, which is under the control of the government, and third land is private land, which is owned by the private persons. But in this habitat, initially we found that more than 2,000 acres of land is under revenue department, which is a forest, and it has a number of species of wildlife, wild flora and fauna. So therefore, we need to protect this forest, which is not under the control of forest department. Therefore, we decided to start conservation initiative, protection of this habitat in this area. In 2004, the idea initiated, we developed strategy how to go about this. Then we planned to buy a piece of land in the middle of the forest in the sense that is not under the forest department, and there is no protection to that forest because it is not under the control of forest department. Then we identified a land which is connecting two broken habitats. So we need to join these corridors, this corridor. Therefore, we purchased some 28 acres of land in 2004. Next slide, please. And in this area, we can see this balancing rocks, amazing forest, caves. This is Ramdurga forest. We can see this huge rock tower just by the side of our center, Wildlife SOS Center in Ramdurga. Next. And another balancing rock, such rare and amazing rock formations are most common feature in this habitat. We can see this rock is being there for last 2 billion years. This rock is called as close-packed granite, which is very hard granite, and it dated more than 2 billion years. This rock which we are seeing now is standing there for 2 billion years without destruction. Such is the balance uh, of the rock in this area. Next, please. And also we have a lake by the side of our habitat. This is called Ramdurga Lake. The water runs from the forest, and this is a pure and the finest water. This water helps in enriching the underground water table, and a number of animals, they quench the thirst from this lake. All the animals visit this lake for drinking water in the night. Next slide, please. And in the beginning, we decided the main objective of our conservation initiative was to protect the wild species such as sloth bears and leopards, and to protect the entire habitat. If we protect any given area, the entire ecosystem is protected. All the animals are in the safer hands. So we decided to protect the entire sloth bear and leopard habitat. That is number one. And second one is supporting the biodiversity, including endangered species such as leopards, tortoises, yellow-throated bulbuls, pangolins, porcupines, small Indian civet, and Asian palm civet, wolves, jackals, foxes, and a number of species, and various species of birds, butterflies, insects, reptiles. So these two are the main objectives of this beginning of this conservation habitat in Ramdurga. Next slide. So this is the land which we purchased in 2006. This is a connecting area. You can see both sides. In the left is one fragmented habitat, and the right side is another fragmented habitat. And in the between, we purchased some 28 acres of land, and we developed into a corridor for the animals movement. In the rest of the area, you can see the lake also, and also agriculture land. It is very difficult for the animals to move in this agriculture land and other areas. So we decided to grow endemic local fruiting trees species to attract the animals. They can pass through. And now after that, after almost 18 years of conservation, we can see the animals, leopards and bears, all the animals, they use our land as a corridor for moving from one habitat to another fragmented habitat. Next slide, please. In the beginning, we initiated patrolling with local guards. These local guards are selected from different villages located in different directions of the habitat. So one person comes from the one village, he starts from the village in the morning, patrolling the entire habitat, entire area, and another guard starts from his trek from his village all along the his route and visits the center in the afternoon. So in the beginning, we appointed 6 watchers, 6 guards to protect the habitat. They protect all kinds of threats to the ecosystem, threats to the biodiversity. Next slide, please. See, in 2007, almost all the procedures, it took some 3 years for meeting all the procedures to buy the land. And in 2007, we registered 28 acres of the land in near Ramdurga, and also initiated patrolling the entire habitat with the 6 guards, private guards. And then in 2008, we initiated planting the local wild fruit-bearing trees in this habitat to help the animals to move in this habitat. And in 2012, with the help of BHEL, a central government corporate company, with using its CSR fund, we planted more than 10,000 trees in this area. The 10,000 trees of different fruit-bearing trees, which attract now almost now over the period of 12 years, we can see all the trees grown up and they are helping, they are bearing the fruits. A number of birds are nesting in that, and the entire ecosystem is changed now. Next slide, please. These are the initially in the beginning, our watchers. We were actually sending them in not in the uniforms in the beginning, just to prevent any people opposition from the villagers, because all the villagers depend upon the forest. They go for wood cutting, stone cutting, and all other kinds of requirements. So in the beginning, we decided not to send the people in uniform. They send as if they were the villagers. So they were patrolling in their regular attire and going and visiting the forest, protecting the forest in the beginning. So that too, and also we developed the friendship with the local peoples. We created awareness among the peoples. Why we need to protect this area? What is the importance of the ecosystem? What is the importance of the protecting the forest? So all this kind of information given to the people, and then slowly people also began supporting us. Then we started people going to patrolling the area in uniforms. And you can see in the right our location, the lake is there, and also our land is marked, and these two are the corridors. These two are the fragmented forest area habitats of wildlife, and the location now improved into, we are turning it into a forest. Next slide, please. And all the plants which we planted some 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they are all now bearing the fruit. We can see one custard apple, which is, and also other fruiting trees like, in this case, you can see the cardamom. These are all actually being eaten by leopards and wild boars. So leopards are fond of visiting our habitat during the fruiting season. In the night, they eat all fruits regularly and go back to their hideouts. So this helped. We had also a borewell for irrigation system. We installed a drip irrigation system to provide water, because water is very scarce in this area, less rain. And also we have solar powered electrical fencing also to protect the saplings in the beginning. Next slide, please. Next slide. And after the protection, all the walled hills were converted into green forest. You can see the greenery coming out of the, coming in between the rocks. And all the rocky caves are covered with the green forest. And these are the some of the activities our guards are doing, like stopping the stone quarrying. These are the illegal stone quarrying in the revenue land, not a forest land. This is revenue land, which is under the control of the revenue department, not in the forest department. But without permission, without legal requirements, the villagers, they illegally quarry the granites. And our team raids in that area, seized a number of tools which they were using for cutting the stones and also making quarry. And we can you can see the collection of tools seized from the stone quarries and crushers. Next slide, please. And also a lot of people go for collection of firewood. That is, in the beginning, we created awareness among the people not to cut the trees. They go for LPG gases and other techniques for cooking system. So in the beginning, these are the very old photos. Now it is controlled, under the control. And also people were cutting the poles from the forest for growing vegetables, like you can see in the slide in the right. So these were the very big challenges in the beginning for us. Next slide. And also cattle grazing, excessive cattle grazing. This is also one of the threats, because not only cattle, but sheep and goats also graze and browse the forest. Especially goats are the enemies of the forest, because goats eat everything. They browse the trees, they not allow the trees to grow. So that we prevented goats and other cattle enter into the forest, but we allowed them in the periphery area, not in the core zone. And also other threats are still are actually existing. We are still fighting against all these threats, like ritual hunting is going on during the festivals, important festivals. The villagers go for hunting in groups. They kill whatever they come across and take the animals in procession. And also people encroach the land. They just cut the forest and increase their extend their for agriculture land. That results in loss of habitat and fragmentation. And also, man-animal conflict is still existing. Man-animal, in the sense, the bears and leopards enter into the human habitation during summer for water and other reasons. During summer, sloth bears may not find food in the forest, so they visit the human habitation. They go to the agricultural land, they eat the crop, and also sometimes leopards enter into human habitation and eat, predate upon dogs and sheep and other animals. And also in the agriculture, people use a lot of pesticides and chemical fertilizers for agriculture, which is also resulting in decline of birds and also affecting the ecosystem. And also this use of excessive pesticide also resulting in loss of amphibians such as frogs. Loss of frogs results in excessive growth of mosquitoes. And also still ignorant of wildlife laws and forest laws. Next slide, please. So the solution now to mitigate all these challenges, we are still working with the community, with the people, with the tribals in this area, motivating them to protect forest, supporting them to take up agriculture practice using organic manure to prevent pesticides. Next slide, please. And also people go for wood cutting. You know what we do? We just block the entry points to the forest like this. The people go in bullock carts and also take the tractors to carry the firewood. So we are actually using the huge rocks within that area, blocking the entry points so that the tractors and bullock carts shall not enter into the forest. This helps in protection of the forest. Next, please. And also to support the natural regeneration of the forest, because the rain is very less and also the soil is not rich in this area. So to help the forest to regenerate, we actually collect local seeds and then make the seed balls and dribble in this. And also we use seeds to dribble in the forest during rainy season, and also scatter the seed balls in the forest while going for patrolling. This helps the regeneration of the forest. Next, please. And also we have now developed nursery. We have about 5,000 saplings now. These are saplings of local endemic plants. We are not introducing the exotic plants in this habitat. So we use this plant for planting inside our habitat area, and also distributing the plants to the farmers, and also planting the fruiting trees, endemic fruiting trees in the periphery of the forest to attract the animals. And also during summer, when there is rain is very less and there is no water in the borewell, we bring water in pots and grow the trees in this habitat. Next slide, please. Apart from all these protection activities, awareness generation is so important. It's very pivotal in conservation of the habitat. That is the reason we conduct regularly awareness programs in schools and colleges around the habitat. And especially the students studying in primary and high schools are our target groups. We conduct a wildlife week, we conduct environment day, and also we conduct a awareness program, photo exhibition program, and also planting the trees in the campus of the school. So such activities also helping the students to become conservationists. They become friends of the forest in coming days. And this resulted positively, and all these students, they develop the knowledge of protection of wildlife and forest. Next slide, please. And we can see the changes. The forest, how it was before and how it is now. And also we kept a lot of area open for planting trees in coming days. Next slide. And also we conduct permaculture activities to rejuvenate the streams. This is one of the permaculture activity where we constructed a small check dam like structure, which is not too tall and also not too down, short. This also helps in conservation of water and also helps the regeneration of water table. This kind of activities in all along this stream helped in enriching the groundwater level in this area. Next slide. You can see the growth of the forest. And in the middle of the boulders, bears, leopards, porcupines, and all other animals live inside this. So this cover, forest cover, helps them to hide themselves. And during the day, they can sleep in the cool environment of the caves, and they come out in the night. Next slide, please. These are some of the images which we conducted a campaign against ritual hunting. During March, April, New Year festival is going on here every year. So during that period and before that ritual hunting season, we conduct awareness program in the village. And also we patrol the entire ecosystem for 3 days and night to prevent any instance of ritual hunting. Though ritual hunting is controlled now, till there are chances of going for hunting. That is the reason we continue the patrolling every year during the ritual hunting season. Next slide. These are some of the images of our faunal species found in our habitat. You can see jackal, jungle cat, star tortoise, a number of butterflies, more than 50 species of butterflies we have documented. Sloth bears, these are the images from the habitat only, our 28 acres land. And also you can see Asian palm civet, soft supple skink, 2 species of scorpions, and chameleon, different species of birds, and black-naped hare. Next. Amphibians. These are the amphibians which we recorded in our habitat. 9 species of different frogs. You can see various species of frog. Toads and frogs are here. And among them, the frog in the middle one is called Indian bullfrog, which is very big in size. And also you can see in the right in the middle is also called as balloon frog. These are the rare frogs which we see in this habitat. Apart from that, we have small termite nest frog, Ferguson's frog, toad, common Indian tree frogs. All these frogs are there, which are very essential for our ecosystem. Next slide. Now, we have not yet achieved our goal. Now we need to take up more activities for conservation of this entire habitat. So the future goals are, we need to expand the um, engagement of wildlife enthusiasts here, offering them for volunteering programs. The volunteers can come and visit our habitat. They can stay here. They can go along with the watchers and guards to patrol the entire area. They can learn from them how the patrolling is going on, how they are protecting the area, and what are the, they can also see the direct and indirect evidences of the wildlife found in this area. And also they can learn, the understand the biodiversity of Deccan Plateau. And also, we need to continue the research, especially we do the research not systematically. We use camera traps to document, but we need to have a systematic and elaborated research and documentation of entire biodiversity of this habitat. So the data will help us for conserving the entire habitat in for the long future. And also, we need to conduct various awareness programs in this area. And also, we need to expand the infrastructure. Existing infrastructure is very less. We have very small cottage here there. We need to have many cottages for accommodating the volunteers, researchers, and field biologists to come and stay here. And also, we need to buy adjoining land, private land, to convert it into a forest, which helps in joining the fragmented habitats. Because this entire area is fragmented into pieces, which is very difficult for the wildlife for moving from one area to another area. Therefore, we need to enhance the private the corridors. So we need to increase land and also protect the forest. We need to grow the forest in the land. So we need to have this in coming days. Next slide, please. So these are the important uh, points which I shared with you. Because the time is very short, you may visit the habitat to understand more about this. All the important information I have just shared you. My friend Mr. Wasim will take over the webinar now. Thank you for your patient listening and joining in the webinar.
Thank you, Dr. Samad, for the wonderful introduction to this project. I mean, 20 years of hard work, and that is what it took to change a complete wasteland into such a fertile ecosystem for wildlife to persist. Of course, it is a fertile ecosystem for a lot of research potential. But while you kept mentioning about the guarding that is needed, that is just because it's also a very fragile landscape. If something goes wrong, so much damage can again happen. So consistent efforts are certainly required. So around 2 decades of hard work, and this happened at a time when rewilding was not even a trending term. Now a lot of people, wildlife people in the conservation circle, people talk about rewilding. So this is something which was achieved by Wildlife SOS team close to 2 decades ago. So amazing progress that has been made. Next slide,
Thank you.
please. So I'll just touch a little bit more on why we are focusing so much on efforts to guard this place, to guard the wildlife health, the wildlife wealth that is there, because poaching is one of the biggest threat to our biodiversity in any part of India. It is a major threat, and these are some of the examples. That's the elephant ivory, tiger skin, those are parakeet chicks, and the turtles. And all of these things are available in corridors and habitats like Ramadurga. So poaching, to tackle this thing, Wildlife SOS came up with the anti-poaching division. Right at the inception of this organization in 1995, we came up with the anti-poaching unit called the Forest Watch. Next slide, please. And the idea behind the Forest Watch was to ensure that we do not allow these people, the poachers, to enter into the forest, to enter into the habitats and kill the animals and sell them as live animals, or consume them, or to sell their parts in the markets. There are huge markets operating in various parts of the world, and demands keep changing from one species to another. So it is important for us as a part of this anti-poaching initiative to monitor every species with equal sense of responsibility. Next slide. So when we say combing operations, what exactly are we looking at when we are, monitoring an area? We are looking at places which are possibly going to give access to the poachers to enter into the protected area. So just a logical explanation would be that if you demarcate an area as a protected area, it is protected by the law. So there is going to be some level of government enforcement operating there. But when it is a corridor which is connecting to that protected area, that corridor may have lesser level of protection because the policy is primarily for the protected area. So the poachers can certainly target these corridors, and that is what we focus on when we do our combing operations. What you see on the screen are jaw traps. These are actually inexpensive articles, easy to make, very DIY kind of articles, and they are so deadly. Next slide, please. That they can easily bring down a tiger. All the poachers have to do is go to the habitat, the forest area, and just conceal it under the ground. The passage which is being used by a tiger or a leopard or any other animal which is under the radar of that poacher, and they just have to conceal it under the ground. And when the animal is moving over that ground area, it will get caught in the trap. And once it is caught, it is actually impossible for the animal to get out, and it's either going to starve to death, or the poacher will use some weapons to kill them. It's very painful for the animals. As you can see on the right side, the tiger which was trapped in a jaw trap, we managed to rescue this one, but it still lost the paw and has to be kept under care for lifetime because it cannot survive in the wild with one less paw. Next slide. So when we are talking about the combing operation, this is something that we want to avoid because these corridors are access points. If a poacher manages to access the forest area, the core of a forest area, this kind of damage can easily happen. This is something that happened in the neighboring state to the Ramdurga project site. What you see is a tiger skin, a full grown adult tiger skin, and there are two sets of skeleton. In this case, the poachers managed to access the tea estates, tea plantations just right next to a protected area. So they managed to enter the forest from that part of the buffer, and they went inside and they laid down these jaw traps. And this is what they did after that. They caught a tiger. Next slide, please. And when we worked with the enforcement agencies and we caught these people, the entire gang we managed to arrest, and a lot of interrogation happened because we knew that there is two sets of skeletons, but only one skin was found. So where is the other skin? And this is one of the rarest of the operations where not only you are arresting the people with the contraband, but also the interrogation, uh, they were led inside the forest again. And we managed to get confirmation of the locations where they did the hunting. And not only that, the leopard skin, which was hidden by them deep inside the forest, was also retrieved. And also all the active hunting devices were dismantled after this interrogation happened. And you can see the two people that are sitting in one of the photo. All the things that you see in front of them, everything was inside the forest. So they were literally living inside the forest just because they managed to gain access from a connecting corridor. So this is something, the reason why we have to be so alert while we are operating in a corridor area, that we don't want something like this to happen. Next slide. And another form of poaching, that the tool that is being used very widely, is snares. These are just wires, very easily available. Any car mechanic, these wires are connected to the brake shoes of vehicles. So it's very easily available. They only have to deploy it. In many cases, the villagers, the farmers use it to deter wild boars. But in this particular case, it's a sloth bear which got captured. So these kind of situations also keep on arriving. So our goal is not only to dismantle any jaw traps which are present in the area which may be deployed there, but also to clear any kind of wires which may be used potentially for poaching any kind of resident wildlife. Next slide, please. Another interesting thing that I would like to cover, the species which is highly targeted, the Indian species, highly targeted and under high demand in the international market. This is a Indian star tortoise, and primarily found in the southern Indian part. We have very rich numbers in terms of star tortoise in the Ramdurga area. And as you can see, these are some of the news articles for various years where they are saying hundreds and hundreds of these star tortoises were being poached from especially South India, and they were smuggled into the international markets, especially into Southeast Asia and some Chinese markets. The purpose of smuggling was either to keep them as pets or for consumption. And this is also a species of concern now. Next slide, please. In fact, we worked on a special operation for repatriation of Indian star tortoises. These tortoises were smuggled out of India, poached from Karnataka state, where we have the Ramdurga project, and they were confiscated by the authorities in Singapore. And there were only two options which were available to the confiscated species there. Either the government will cull them because the policy is very clear: if the species is not native to Singapore, it cannot be kept there. And otherwise it has to be brought back to the source country, which is India. So we worked closely with both the governments, the government of India and the Singapore government. Next slide, please. And we managed to bring all these Indian star tortoises back into India. Next slide. And this is when a Ramdurga project helped us immensely, because we set up a quarantine unit to monitor these star tortoises. This is a soft release procedure. When you have brought a species back to its native habitat, you have to keep them under observation for some time to allow them to acclimatize, because they have been in a foreign environment for so long. They will need some time to gradually get back to their natural habitat. So this was the phase 2 of this operation. After repatriation, they were kept under soft release. Next slide. And then eventually we did radio telemetry on all these repatriated star tortoise. It gave us very interesting information on the survival of the species which has been repatriated. I feel that this is one of the very few such cases which have been done globally, where a species which was smuggled out and repatriated back to the country of origin has been studied in so much depth. And we wanted to ensure the survival of the species, so it was very important to tag them so that we can have an idea where exactly is the species right now and how is the overall health of the species now. Next slide, please. So since Ramdurga is a corridor, it's also important to ensure the functionality of the corridor, because not only you will have a resident wildlife in that area, but you will also have transient wildlife, especially when we are talking about wide-ranging species like sloth bears, leopards, elephants, and tigers. So it's important that we continue working towards improving the habitat, and do these type of very important studies. This is a sloth bear collaring operation that we conducted to understand the dispersal pattern of this wide ranging species, and we have found how the species is not only limited to Ramdurga, but it's also crossing into the neighboring state. So when you get this kind of data, it is impossible, it's very useful then to inform the policymakers about the potential for coalition amongst different states, so that the policy for a wide ranging species is well informed. Next slide, please. And of course, one more very important aspect of not only maintaining the functionality of a corridor and guarding the corridor, the third thing when we focus on research is also to ensure the potential of conflict is minimized. This is one of the projects that we have been doing in central Indian landscape, a place where hundreds of human mortalities were happening because of elephant herd which entered that area. And but when you are proactive with your approach, when you are including proper science in your efforts, when you're working around the clock in monitoring your habitat and understanding your wildlife, you can potentially mitigate these type of conflicts. So this is what we try to achieve when we do telemetry studies and collaring studies, so that the species can actually coexist with the human population in that area. Next slide, please. Thank you. That was all from my side.
Thank you so much, Wasim and Samad sir, for such an amazing talk. We have a few questions over here, so I'll read them out to you. Um, Pranay want to know, Samad sir, this question's to you. If you use treated sewage water for rejuvenation of the lakes in Ramdurga.
No, this lake is totally natural. No human habitation is there actually in that upstream area, because the water from the semicircle valley, hills, it all come and collects in this lake. So there is no question of sewage at all. It's a natural rainwater only being collected in that Ramdurga lake. It's a pure and fresh water.
Okay. We also have a question, a person who wants to understand the awareness program in a little bit of detail that you do in the surrounding of Ramdurga.
Yeah, awareness program in the sense we use this PowerPoint presentation in the villages. We take laptops and screens, and also power backup speakers. We show some important films for them, and also give presentation of animals, showing the which animal is present in this habitat, what is importance of protect conservation of that animal. And also we conduct in high schools, colleges during the day. In the night, we conduct awareness program for the villagers also, which the slide which we have not shown here. But we also conduct in the evening, in the middle of the village, we show the PowerPoint presentation and create awareness among the people. They feel so happy after learning that because of the forest conservation, the water in their tube wells are increased. That is the knowledge which they gained. Because of conservation of the forest, the water level increases. That is the reason the migration of the people is stopped. People from this area, they were migrating for yeah, different kinds of works like cutting of sugar cane, going to the coffee plantation. But now, as they have enough water in their tube wells, they grow crop even in the summer also. So that is the reason the people, they have the knowledge of conservation of forest results in enrichment of the uh, water table. So this helped actually. So such awareness program, we need to, we conduct awareness program in a one school once a year, because there are many schools are there, a lot of villages also there. We have not reached all the villages. We need to reach all the villages. We need to conduct many more awareness programs continuously in all the villages. So we use the local language to create awareness among them. And also we also exhibit the photos, images of the animals, birds, butterflies, insects, reptiles, mammals. So all this helps them to understand, they appreciate the beauty of the wildlife. So these are the basic principles we use in awareness programs.
Okay, sir. Um,
Yeah.
we have another question. How can someone from an entirely different background join the team, to stop illegal wildlife trade and care for wild animals? So either of you can
Yeah,
answer if you have
anybody
an
can
answer.
begin. In the beginning, anyone can join, they can learn also. They can learn. They only have to have the passion to do something for the conservation of wildlife. They can join our patrolling team here in Ramdurga in the beginning to understand what is the forest, what are the types of the forest, what are the threats in the forest, how to go in the forest, how to listen to the sounds of the forest. So they should understand in the beginning. They cannot jump directly into rescue and illegal trafficking and all. They can learn in the beginning. They can join our team. They can join Wildlife SOS. They can volunteer, and on the next stage they can join the rescue operation team. I think
Okay.
Wasim will throw more light on this.
No, I think you've covered most of it. You're right. The essential ingredient to these type of things is how passionate you are. If you are passionate, then there will be that willingness to learn and grow. So you will study more about this thing. You start somewhere. If you are in a city, then you should be vigilant about what kind of illegal wildlife trafficking may be happening in my nearby area. We see a lot of people, their first encounter with any wildlife trafficking in a place like, in a city like Delhi, would be with parakeets. Because initially people think that it is allowed to keep them as pets, and later on they come to know that it is also a protected species, just like elephants, tigers, leopards, and so on. So that is how it goes. They understand, okay, this species is protected, then there is this law, and that is how things grow. And eventually, some people become too passionate and they start leading anti-poaching operations also. So that's how it usually happens.
Thank you for that answer. Um, Another person's asking, how do you work with the local communities to get their buy-in so that they don't feel the need to be a part of the illegal wildlife trade?
You want me
Wasim
to?
is going.
Okay.
Either of you
So
can answer.
I think what usually happens is that when the community sees the work that we are doing, I feel that the core value in the Indian culture is about conservation and coexistence. Sometimes our tolerance levels go up and down, but people do want to understand what all species are around us, and our goal is that build the trust with the people in that area. Because when that happens, then there is a transparency in communication also. These people are also technically the frontline people. They have their eyes and ears in that area. So they, only if they trust us and they trust our intention towards the wildlife, they will certainly do it and inform us. This is how most of anti poaching operations that we have been doing start. Some person, some villager in some part of India would report something that, in my village, I'm seeing a lot of aquatic species being targeted, or in my village, I see a lot of nests being disturbed. And that is how, we initiate our operations.
A good answer. I think we have time for one more question. Since turtles are endangered and it's illegal to sell it for domestic purpose, how do you ensure the illegal selling of turtles in the pet shops?
See, when these type of things come to us, if it is in a place in part of India where we are directly operating, then we will lead that operation with the concerned enforcement agency. In many cases where we don't have a presence at the moment, we connect the people with the local enforcement agency, and the most direct contact can be with the local police. Just call the control room number, report to them. You can even report it as anonymous. You can just say, this is the location of the pet shop, here are some photos of the animals being kept. It can be turtle, it can be parakeet, it can be anything. As long as it is listed under the Wildlife Protection Act, it must be reported. And I'm sure that actions are being taken. There is a lot of enforcement that is happening now in India.
Okay. Um, well, we have one more question of what kind of volunteering help can we common people do for Ramdurga? Samansa, do you want to?
Yeah, volunteering in the sense they can come and stay there. They can go for patrolling with the team. They can also help us in planting the trees in the ecosystem, the habitat. They also help us in generating support, and they can do whatever they want to do in conservation, support of conservation. So first they should show interest. They should start joining in one of the locations across India, wherever they are. We have our presence. They can reach out. If you want to visit Ramdurga, they can visit. Um, we have very basic facility for their stay. They can stay. They can start communicating with us. I think their physical presence will be a great help for us, and later on, they can help us in volunteering in different areas also.
Okay. Thank you so much, Wasim and Samansa, for such an amazing talk. We are right now short on time. So thank you all for joining us for this webinar as well. I hope this has been an enlightening experience. And if you have any queries or if you want to visit any of our centers, we've been giving various email IDs in our chat box. You can check that out. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you all.
you.
Bye.